Welcome YouTube back to low Kerbin orbit with Misters Bill, Bob, and Jebediah Kerman. I am Southern Wolverine, and this is Operation Laythe, Episode 7. Alright, so this was our Moonlander 1 vehicle that we launched into orbit last time, and we were preparing to send it to the moon. And we have plenty of fuel left in this transfer stage. It turns out that launch vehicle is a lot more efficient than I thought it would be. So we're going to set up our maneuver node to try and get us out there. So usually this transfer is about 90 degrees short of where the moon is right now. That's where it starts. So we'll use that as our starting point. Pull this out till it's just past the circle of the moon's orbit. Here, let's set this as a target so we can get our inclination. Well, it's not telling it to us. Probably because I got this maneuver node going here. Let me turn this back off for a second. Oh, we're a degree and a half off. Here, let's correct that since we got the opportunity before we make our transfer. I don't really need to be even. I just like to be. It will make it a little easier to get there. It'll reduce our chances of coming in high and ending up with a strange polar orbit or something. Just turn that around until it starts to flip. Like so. Alright. 0. Good enough. Alright, so that was an ascending node, so we need to point south, which we will do slowly. Actually, this thing isn't maneuvering that badly, considering how much weight is still on board and the fact that it has no reaction thrusters. This large capsule does have more reaction wheel torque than the smaller ones do. Plus, I still have this, advanced SAS module on there, so that's helping as well. Alright, so we got a 58 approximately meter per second burn coming up. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take. Probably won't be long. This engine's pretty powerful, even though there's still a lot of weight on this. I'll give it a little test shot, 20 seconds or so before I get to the node. And that should let us know, or that'll let Kerbal Space Program recalculate the burn time. See, it's NA right now because we haven't been firing this, and it kind of gets confused when you start over again. Okay, oh, that's going to be really fast. We can almost get right on top of it before we start that. Whoa, well, not past it though. Alright, back to the map view for this burn. And and close enough. Alright, let's see if that messed up our orbit. Nope, still 78 by 81. Actually, it made it a little bit better. Alright, now we're going to go for our Munar intercept. So we're going to take this, drag it out, so we get an oval that the apoapsis is beyond the circle of Munar orbit. See, now we got that close encounter marker, but we don't have a intercept yet. There we go. See, that's all it takes. So I like to put it behind the moon. Make sure it's a little bit past the orbit, and then kind of walk it in. Just to make sure that we're coming in behind it. Because we do want to approach from behind, as I was saying about Minmus. If you come from behind the moon, you're moving in the same direction as it is. And it will take less time, less fuel to get your Munar entry burn. Which leaves more fuel for your descent and all that fun stuff. I have a feeling that this stage is not going to run out of fuel before we're actually ready to attempt our landing, so we'll probably end up ditching that with a fair amount of fuel left in it. I have no math or anything to back that up, that's just my hunch at this stage. Since I do have a ton of fuel, tons even of fuel, literally tons of fuel. Alright, so this mission is going to follow much the same parameters, of course, as the Minmus missions did. So I won't bore you too much with the details. We're going to just burn out there, get our intercept, circularize the orbit, pick a nice landing spot, and follow more or less the same landing pattern. Okay, so we want to burn at 45 seconds or so. Alright, full throttle. And leave it there for a minute. Now what am I going to talk about for a minute? Well, let's get some nice views of the rocket. I actually kind of like this in silhouette. Like so, with the sun behind it. To the final frontiers, or infinity and beyond, or whatever, as I plagiarize every movie that's ever been made. Now, this must be the vast Saharan Kerbon desert here. Maybe if we get some planes going or something, we can do some science over Kerbon land. Although, I find that's a lot of time spent for sort of minimal science gain. Because it does take a long time to fly planes around, or even to fly a suborbital flight around to the other side of the world to do some science. And even if you get all the science instruments, the barometer, the various aircraft instruments, the gravity detector thing, you still get science on the order of dozens instead of hundreds, like you will for missions to other bodies, where you can get soil samples and that sort of thing, to really get lots of science in a single shot. Okay, that was a sort of fake intercept, maybe sort of passing below the moon. There's the real one, that's what I want. Okay, so now we're going to fiddle with this to get it a little bit better than that 115. I kind of like to get down to about 50 or so. Let's not push our luck too much. And there we go. That'll do. Alright, and commencing the fast forwarding. Oh, too low to go fast. Come on. You can do it. Moonlander 1, on its way. So you always gotta love how these look like they're gonna miss by about a mile, but as you come out here, you slow way down at the peak of that orbit. And sure enough, there's the intercept. Alright, so we're just gonna drop orbit here. Of course, the orbital model that Kerbal Space Program uses is a little bit simplified from actual, true planetary effects and such. Uses basically the two-body problem and the patched conics assumption, wherein each body has a distinct sphere of influence. And if a vehicle is within that sphere of influence, you can neglect other bodies. Where, of course, even here, where the moon would be the dominating influence, Kerbon also would, of course, be exerted gravitational influence, since we're not that far away from it. This ends up being a decent assumption for rough calculations, and it's, certainly a pretty good model of actual orbital dynamics. They do use the actual equations and such, and the various things that you would do in real life still work, and it very much simplifies the mathematics. When you don't have to worry about, oh, what's the effect of the sun's gravity here? What's the effect of Kerbon's gravity? Even Minmus's gravity, though it wouldn't have much of an effect here, would have an effect. So by simplifying to the two-body problem, it makes the program run more smoothly, and it makes it a little bit more accessible for people to play, where things behave, a little bit more intuitively. Although it does mean you miss out on some things that might be kind of neat to mess with, where you'd have like the Lagrange points or something like that, which sort of relies on the interaction between multiple bodies in order for it to actually occur. It'd be kind of fun to set up stations at the Lagrange points. It'd be a good, refueling station or something potentially. Alright, so before I get too lost in talking about orbital mechanics, let's get our orbital burn set up here. Burn at about 13 seconds. We'll start early, about 14, because we'll need to light up. Engine still work. That was me accidentally touching the shift key, in case you were wondering. Accidental burn. Yeah, these big engines are nice. Even with a heavy lander, not relatively heavy at least compared to what we've been using. It's, you know, coming down rather nicely for us here. Alright, that'll do. Okay, so now let's see what we got underneath our orbit that's also more or less in the sun. Okay, so we got, I think I want to land in one of these craters for the same reason that I like landing on the flats on Minmus, because they're closer to zero altitude. I was going to say sea level, but that's not really a sea level. But zero altitude, and cursory glance says that this one's a little bit better in the sun than that one, and also looks a little bit less rough. This one's pretty beaten up around our orbit. We could adjust the orbit, of course. In fact, I may do that anyway. So I think we're going to aim for this crater. We should be there and gone before it turns back to the dark side. To the dark side! So yeah, I think we're going to go for that. And what I'll do, I want to aim for the center of it a little bit better, because it makes the landing not need to be quite as accurate. So I'm going to set up an inclination change here. And that should, even though this is going to come around somewhat before I get there, we should still get a good pass over it. A little bit more centered than our current orbit is. Alright, let's get a look. Yeah, there we go. Nice and close. Closer to the moon than any soul has been before. Much more impressive than that little ice ball we landed on before. And significantly more gravity, although it's still a lot less than Kerbin. Alright, where's my node for this inclination? I guess it's going to be towards polar north. There we go. Yeah, their recent changes have made the moon a lot harder to land on, actually. The physics of it are the same in terms of its mass and diameter and so forth. But they've made the surface an awful lot rougher. It used to be inside these large craters would just be, you know, really smooth. And now even the inside of the craters are pockmarked with all these little craters. So you really have to watch the approach so that you don't land on a steep hillside or something and flip over and crash and break your rockets off and be stranded on the moon forever. We can sort of do what they did on the actual Apollo landings, which is almost come to a hover and make sure we're not, you know, landing on a boulder or something like that before we, you know, pick a spot and settle down. So we'll, as we're coming down, we'll continue to refine our aim to a safe landing spot. But for now, let's just, one thing at a time, let's do this inclination burn, like so. That'll work. Okay. So now, I want to have my periapsis point right about here. So I'm going to go to the far side, set up a retrograde burn. Maybe I'll put that a little bit sooner. My orbit was a little bit elliptical, so that messed up my mental arithmetic there. All right, so about like that. That's what 33, yeah, maybe even a little bit more than that. Get that a little bit under 30. Probably no less than 25 or so. We don't want to come in too hot. It's not quite like Minmus where we can just you can almost just fall from orbit onto Minmus. This is not that hard. We want to be a little bit more careful about this. Ooh, there's a nice shot. Kerbin set on the moon. You get the sun in frame too. Excellent. Now all I have to do is get the stupid spacecraft out of the way. Ooh, pretty. I do like that in relief like that. You get the nice crescent, the crescent Kerbin shape. Alright, so I'm just going to get this maneuver set up. Hold it with SAS. And then fast forward to the node. This is a quick burn. This is only 1 second. Maybe I'll... Oh, it's only 22 meters per second. I guess I believe that. Alright, so we probably won't go full throttle on this. Don't want to overshoot and crash into the moon's surface. So we'll go about a third. That's still coming down quickly. Okay, very good, very good. Alright, so and I figure I'll start my descent burn here. Normally I have to start the descent burn a little bit sooner, but in fact I have, and I may not even need that node. I'm almost putting it there just as a marker. I have so much fuel still in here. I still got to full one of those tanks. Well, that's basically one of these tanks left. So I can use that for the descent and make a more aggressive landing burn, which I believe will end up being slightly more efficient. I'll still end up wasting most of it probably, and having to throw it overboard to use the lander engines. Oop, okay. Oh, and I'm facing the wrong way. Another great shot of the spacecraft. Kerbin and the sun in the background. Very nice. Alright. So our target is somewhere in this giant hole in the ground. It's actually, the crater is slightly less distinct. You can only really kind of make it out by the fact that it's darker. It gets a little obvious when you're lower to the ground. Well, because you realize how high the sides are. From this altitude, it's a little harder to make out just how extreme some of these crater sides are and things. So there's definitely some extreme terrain on the moon now. Not as bad, perhaps, in places as Minmus, and there's some other of the smaller moons that are really craggy, which is somewhat realistic. Having less gravity, they would have formed less into a sphere, because you know that's one of the major mechanisms for forming large bodies into spherical shapes is the very gravity of that object. Sort of causes everything to settle into that shape, and the smaller bodies would have less of it. Wow, okay. Still got a lot of fuel. I'm just going to begin a gradual killing off my velocity. Even though I'm not going super fast right now, we're just going to light this kind of gentle like that and let it run. Which will give us a chance to look around. Here, let's look from the eyes of Bob Kerman, who is a little bit upset right now. You can see out the window there. Woo! Oh, that's right. This is the side that's got a it's got a parachute in the way. Sorry, Bob. Didn't mean to block your view. Alright, Bill can see though. That's better. And he can look over at Bob, who's mildly upset at the moment. You can see him getting all frowny and panicky there. Calm down, Bob. Everything's under control. See, Bill's okay, and Jeb's loving it as always. And I'm just going to go ahead and change this to surface velocity now, just to make sure it changes. And keep killing horizontal speed, bit by bit. Alright, now if I can, I want to try to aim. Yeah, let me up the throttle a bit and see if I can't get this to flatten out. This is looking good. It looks like I'll land right in this area in between these significant craters. So that should be a fairly safe landing zone. Looks like we've got a bit of a crater there. I'll just have to keep an eye on that as I get low. So it looks like actually we're going to be landing somewhere in this area. It seems like we're really high up to be landing there, but our horizontal speed has been very much reduced. I might even be able to land before we reach that crater. Alright, I'm just going to start the suicide burn at this point. Alright, let's do some low over the moon science while we're here. We'll just keep that. Do one of these. Mystery goos. The goo seems to be less dense here. Okay. Not super exciting. We'll do a crew report. Oh, I forgot. It's a little late to do an EVA report at this point. Well, let's go ahead and transmit that since I have solar panels now. No sense holding on to that. Oh, I'm actually, I actually have no horizontal velocity left. I almost started going the other way. Wow, okay, so now we're coming straight down. Alright, so what's our landing zone look like? Ooh, right in that little crater. Well, maybe that's okay. Let it come down. We're actually going really slow for the altitude we're at, so I'm going to just speed things up a bit. See, now you get to see some of how extreme this terrain is. You can definitely see some of these giant hills. This is the edge of that crater that we're landing in. Okay, good. We should come down on flat ground here away from that crater. Alright, so I'm going to use this to chop our velocity way down, then just get rid of it. I'm going to get almost to nothing here before I lose this. I want to get the most out of it. Okay, so we pretty much killed our velocity, so we're going to use the decoupler and the separatrons to throw it away. We are done with you, and we will activate our landing engines. Okay. Oh, and we will deploy our landing gear before I forget. That would that would be most unfortunate. Alright, now we gotta keep an eye out for the shadow. Be nice if we could add more instruments on here, like a radio altimeter, for example, would be nice. Okay, looks like this is unfortunately a bit of a slope. We'll have a good indication of where the surface is when that lands. Alright, so the surface is about 570 meters below us, so we're gonna, you know, just stay in a fairly conservative mode here. It looks like the debris bounced that way, so we are landing on a bit of a side slope, unfortunately. Ooh, maybe this is a bit more extreme than I thought it was. You know what? Let's get a little bit away from this and see if we can't get down into these flats. It was a little bit aggressive of me changing my landing point here, but I think I can manage it and still have enough fuel left over. That was starting to make me really nervous. You can see just how nasty the slope is. That's pretty significant. Alright, so the more we can get this way, it looks like the better off we'll be. Oh yeah, look at that. Not apparent from orbit, but when you get down low it is. Ooh, wow, that's quite the peak too. Looks like we are sort of fortunate to have this flat spot. Alright, so now we gotta kill off our horizontal speed once more, which we can do just by turning the throttle on just a little bit. That's kind of cool. Crater with a bullseye crater right in the middle of it. Alright, let's go this way. Kill our horizontal off as much as we can, then try to come down straight vertical. That'll do. Where's my shadow? I gotta be able to see it by now. There it is. Okay, still looks like a bit of a slope, but it should be a lot better than that higher ground. Oh, I'm going back up. Yeah, maybe I should have only used 2 of these engines. 3 is almost too powerful. I could thrust limit them, I suppose, to about 70%, 60% throttle. That'd be more than enough to get this vehicle around the moon. Alright, where'd you go, Shadow? There you are. Disappeared for a minute. How am I supposed to know where the ground is? Okay. Nice and easy, nice and easy. Settling down. Alright, we should come in nice and slow. I'm a little concerned about these landing legs, which is why I put 6 of them on there. I'm not sure how well they're going to hold up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, get out, get out, get out. Woo! Okay. Okay. Oh man, that was lucky. Oh boy, I thought I was done there. That would have been unfortunate. Man, this is it's about the most troublesome moon hailing I've had in some time. Whew. Okay, we don't want to drift too far. Oh, maybe we'll land in this bullseye crater after I went and talked about it. Alright, what's our arc look like? Actually, that's basically where we're headed. We'll just let it carry us in there. Wow, okay. Oh, adrenaline's going a little bit. Whew. Bob's definitely freaked now. Bill didn't like that much either. Whew. Okay. Alright, I should definitely, for the next vehicle, the next lander coming out here should definitely have some RCS thrusters on it. Just to help correct situations like that. Because that would have, RCS thrusters would have helped me kill my, my drift there at the last minute. It would also give me more, rotational authority with which to dampen out that tendency to roll when one set of gear hits before the other. See, this with the weight of this, as soon as that started to flip, it was pretty much done. Hopefully I haven't burned too much fuel. These guys will still be able to get out of here. But one thing at a time here. We're definitely going to get our moon landing. Okay, so we are making our unintended landing in the bullseye crater now. Man, I miss the days when the moon was damn near flat and you could land just about anywhere except on the rim of a crater and you'd be fine. Ugh. Those were the good old easy landing days of Kerbal Space Program. Of course I say that, really even then the landings weren't the easiest. As I mentioned in an earlier video, my first landing ended up in a, well, basically a new crater on the moon. And my second landing ended up in a, well, an unfortunate stranding, as my poor crew member landed on the moon, his lander tipped over, and it fell even onto the door, so he couldn't even get out and check the place out. And then he was trapped there for all eternity, i.e. until the next version of the game came out and that save game got wiped out. Okay. Alright, let's bring this down nice and easy now. We want to be like under 5 meters per second. That'll let us adjust and hopefully prevent any rolling. Nice and easy, nice and easy. Come on, baby, come on. Come on, baby, hold together. And there we go. Haha! Wow, that was about my most troublesome moon landing ever. 3 attempts. Whew. Well, really 2 attempts and 1 abort. And 1 abort right before I was about to die. Okay, well we made it though. So we will do a crew report from the surface of the moon. Let's just transmit that, just in case I have another disaster on takeoff and nobody makes it home. Oh, just kidding guys, you'll be fine. Oh, they're loving it. Now they're on the surface. So they're okay. Alright, 40 science from that. Let's see, what did I have? Temperature probes on here as well, I believe, didn't I? Yep, here we go. We will log the temperature. 32 science, not half bad. Did I already do mine? Oh, I didn't. It's the science bay. 100 science. Those science juniors do give you good science from the surface of another body. So extend the ladder. And now Bob will take our first steps onto the moon. Well, the other moon anyway. The Mun. Da 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 da. Oh. That was one giant belly flop for Kerbonkind. Oh, I screwed it up. I screwed up even the fake version of the quote. There was one small belly flop for Kerbon, one giant belly flop for Kerbonkind. Alright, plant your flag. Then we'll get your buddies out and we'll take a nice little picture next to the camera. We'll call it... Oh, what should I call it? Oh, we'll call it the belly flop. Yes, I can spell it. Be quiet. Belly flop for Kerbonkind. And Bob will take the surface sample. He likes to keep some of the samples for himself. You see, if he hides them in his space pants, no one else wants to take them away from him. Alright. Oh, yeah, that's right. I wanted to switch the flag. No, I want to get the whole crew out here together. Alright, now Bill will come out. Let's see if we can land him a little bit more smoothly. See, even here, there's a little bit more of a grade than it looked like as we were making our approach. So here, come out here with your buddy. Yay! And last but not least, Mr. Jebediah Kerman, who, being the one-upman that he is going to have to do this in greater style with his RCS pack. Well, he sort of did it in style. And he remembered that he has a headlight. Hi guys. Here we are, on the moon. You turn your light on too. Yay! Hooray, group picture. Okay, now what do we do? We've done all the science. We've got our group photo. Oh, nothing for it except to get back on the lander. Okay, very well. Yeah, until we get rovers or something else to do exciting things with, this is sort of what we do on planets. While we're climbing the ladder, we'll just go ahead and grab this data so we don't have to do it in orbit. We're still going to have to get out in orbit to get these. Well, I can maybe get this one from here. Oh, I guess not. You really got to be right on top of these things to collect their science. Oh, whatever. We'll just get it from orbit. No big deal. Alright, now you, Bill. And unlike the Apollo missions, we're not going to leave a souvenir landing gear section here. We like to be clean, except for, you know, that giant pile of rocket debris that we landed in the form of our transfer stage. Shh! We're not going to talk about that. That was very much in violation of the no littering Kerbal Space Program initiative. Oh, cool! I got a crew report from just above the crater. Actually, I might be able to do that with my third. Yes, that'll give me something to do with this third mystery goo container. Alright, so let's get ready to head back home, I guess. It's the last stage of our mission. So we're going to get up, we're going to turn towards 90, just like we do coming off of Kerbin. We're going to take this nice and slow. We can start turning over immediately, though, unlike getting off of Kerbin, because of course there's no atmosphere to mess us up. So we'll just go ahead and observe this mystery goo while we can. Get another 30 science. We're going to make sure we get up over this giant series of mountains here. Looks like we'll be okay. Retract the gear. Retract the ladder. Not necessary. It just seems appropriate to do such things. Wow, yeah, that's that's a pretty tall mountain. That's 2,500 meters. That's thousands of meters above that crater we were just in. Alright, let's see what that's doing. Whoa, whoa, that's turning into an orbit very quickly. Alright, we're going to just start going horizontal, spread it out, and get ourselves into a nice orbit at, you know, 50 kilometers or so. Yeah, we're almost going to get a complete orbit here out of this initial burn. Of course, we have to circularize at the peak. And then when we get around, you know, over here somewhere, we'll do our Munar escape burns that will end up coming back out this direction and just sort of fall back onto Kerbin. And during the transfer back to Kerbin, I have to remember to get out and get those last bits of science that I couldn't recover to the landing vehicle from here. Well, to the command pod, I suppose. Alright, so let's get this circularized, and then we can go ahead and plot our maneuver home. It seems like this should be a longer burn, but this vehicle is now pretty light and has a fairly, well, it has a good thrust to weight ratio anyway. These three engines combine, I think they're 120 each, so they combine for 360 thrust, which for a lander is pretty good. You can probably use these side-mounted engines even to do a, you know, lift off of Duna or someplace like that. When we do a landing, you know, there. Oh, we'll just have some side-mounted engines or some other crazy thing. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, so we're going to do a burn about here, because when we turn this into a hyperbolic escape trajectory, it means we end up going out opposite Moon's direction of motion, which of course is counterclockwise. Counterclockwise? Yes, counterclockwise. And you see, just in doing that, we've already got pretty low, 252. So we'll just tighten that up a bit. 102. Can I make that persistent? Oh, I can. Nice. That makes things a lot easier. I've just discovered that now. I didn't even know you could do that. Just click on it, it becomes persistent. There's another nice feature. I wonder how long that's been around and I haven't known about it. Alright, so that'll get us a nice entry down to 25 kilometers, which I figure generally anything under 30, if you're able to get in, is going to end up being a capture. Or not a capture, but a, you know, a re-entry. Too high and you'll end up, there's not really a skipping mechanic, but you'll end up not having enough aero braking to actually come down to the surface. And of course that height's different on different planets with their different atmospheres. So you really, when doing aero braking on other worlds, you, you sort of have to, you know, either do some research in advance, and what's the fun of that? Or just go for it and perhaps do a quick save before you try it, just in case things go wrong. For example, I know Eve has an extremely thick, both, you know, a lot of height and a lot of density in its atmosphere. So when you aerobrake there, you might do it at, you know, 70 kilometers or something like that. Of course, that'd be an aerobrake and not an entry. If you're doing an entry, yeah, you just dive right into the planet. Joule's pretty thick too. Of course, that's a gas giant, so even its surface isn't really its surface. It's just the part of the atmosphere beyond which vehicles can no longer survive. Alright, so guys, say farewell to the moon. You've had your fun here. Let's go to the interior camera where we can actually see something. Hooray! I would do my burn from here, but I don't want to. Now some of those landers, or some of those command pods, particularly the actual lander ones, you could actually land from that interior view because they do have a radio altimeter on your display, which is at the same time cool and kind of annoying, because it's cool in that they do have a radio altimeter. It's another tool to work with. It's annoying in that you can't get that to show up on the external screen. Oh, it looks like I actually overburned, and we'll end up coming down. Oh, whatever. That should still be okay. And it turns out we were a little closer to the red line in terms of fuel than I thought we would be. Although that's in large part due to our panicked abort, wherein we had to pour on the throttle and burn up, you know, probably close to a quarter of the stage to abort that landing and come back down. So it's a good thing we had all that extra reserve fuel, or we wouldn't have been able to do that, and we would have been stuck forever on the moon. Oh, now the camera changes, so it means we're going to be leaving orbit. Well, lunar orbit, anyway. Bye-bye, Moon. It was fun spending time with you and taking group photos on you. Alright, now before I do something stupid and forget, let's let somebody out to go do a science recovery. Ooh, okay. Here, I found that it makes EVA around vehicles a little easier when you get the vehicle oriented to the camera before you get out and attempt these things. So our camera, well, as close as we can anyway. Come on, this should not be as hard as it is. Okay, something like that. We'll rotate around and we can get in the sun. And then we'll let Bob out. Alright, Bob. Go recover the science for us. Oh, he's already struggling. Bob and the jetpack are not good friends. Alright. Oh, you know, we might have to make 2 trips, because I don't know if I can carry multiple of the same kind of science. I suppose I'll give it a try and see if I can grab them both. It might get upset with me, though. So we might have to make a second run. Alright, we'll collect this mystery goo. Hey, well, let's try it. Let's see if we can grab the other mystery goo. Oh, don't get too far away from the vehicle, Bob. Come on, buddy. You can make it. Oh, frame rate. Damn you. Nope. So we can't do them all at the same time. Okay, fine. I guess we'll have to do 2 spacewalks. So I guess we'll let Bob come back in and we'll give somebody else a turn. What? Whoa, hey, where are you going, Bob? Whoa, what the hell was that? That's messed up. I don't know what happened there. Bob almost went on a permanent solo spacewalk. That would have been most unfortunate. Oh, come on! Get back inside, for the love of all things Kerbal, sir. For the love of your green maker. Alright, nice and slow this time. It could be that this docking port's a little bit in front of our crew hatch. You know what? I don't know what the problem is there, but we're just going to have to go with it. Alright, let's quick save in case we get more nonsense going on. And hopefully the frame rate issues will be fixed now that I've closed my other window. Yeah, there must be this disconnect is screwing us up here. Because he had the same kind of issue. Well, we'll get rid of it soon and not have to worry about it anymore. Yes, let's grab it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, we might as well do an EVA report, I guess. Okay, come on, settle in. Oh, you know what? That one's already been used. Of course it has. Ah, come on. Yeah, these sometimes these EVAs can turn into sort of like trying to, what is it? You know, pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. But it's good practice for docking, which is definitely trying to pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. Huh. I'm not sure what happened with that other science problem where it didn't want to store, but well, whatever. We got both of these on board since there's nothing shows up when we select them. So now we can say goodbye to you suckers. Now you are out of the way, and we need not worry about you when we get out of our capsule. Well, whatever. We'll still get a good chunk of science there. I have a feeling I missed one of them when Bill came back inside, or Bob came back inside, rather. Alright, so here we go. Not to fort, but to fast forward down to our landing, which will be smooth and easy with no explosions whatsoever. We hope. Oh, but will occur on land. Hopefully we'll make it over these mountains. If not, I think I'm gonna hold on to the landing legs and these rockets just in case I need that last little bit of fuel they're carrying to get over these mountains. Although it looks like we're still carrying enough velocity to get past them. Oh yeah, we'll be fine. We're not really hitting the deep atmosphere even yet. Yeah, we're coming in pretty fast and pretty steep. This is the sort of thing that in real space missions would get your poor craft burnt to a little cinder. Unless you had really good heat shielding material. Oh wow, look at that. 7 Gs. And they're all taking it like champs. Jeb's even just scratching his head. Oh, 9 Gs. Oh, 10 Gs. Holy cow. Yeah. Now, perhaps at some point they will add a mechanic where, you know, if you get into these high Gs, you could actually, you know, suffer injuries or even fatalities to your Kerbans. Or structural failures, or even just, you know, the craft deteriorating under the heat of re-entry. And then, of course, we won't be able to do landings like this. We'd have to, you know, do burns to slow us down and fun things like that. Oh, you saw a little bit of the supersonic shockwaves showing up there for just a split second. Alright, let's use the last of our fuel. We don't want it to explode when it hits the ground and kill any unfortunate watching souls. Alright, so now we're done with you. Thank you, you've served us well. And soon you will be a pile of twisted metal in the middle of this giant plane. Speaking of which, let's see if we can do a crew report from here. We can! Hey, I can see my house from here, I think. That's awesome. I can see my house from here. Of course they would say that. Alright, chutes deployed. And now there's nothing to do except wait. We'll fast forward a little bit. I want to make sure I don't fast through the point where these parachutes pop the full open. Because sometimes when you're in that time acceleration, things do take greater stresses than they actually would in real time, just by the way it calculates it, I guess. So we want to avoid that, obviously. You don't want to lose the parachutes at the last second and kill everybody on the brink of success. Alright, so here we go. First 3-man mission. Well, 3-man single capsule anyway. We did have the Space Hydra, or the Science Hydra, although the crew each had their own separate little vehicle on that one. And frame rate issues as we're touching down. Unfortunately on flat ground. Yay! And we are safe. Back on Kerbin with our Hall of Science, which hopefully will be 500. Oh, almost 500. That'll do. That'll do. Okay. So let's see what we can do with that. And then I will plot my next mission. Alright, so can we get even this stuff up here? We could get the extremely large instance, although we discovered with this vehicle we can actually sort of duplicate the effects of the mainsail by using the skipper plus a number of the smaller uh, side-mounted engines. So I think what we'll do, let's get some of these spaceplane components. We should get a whole bunch of them with this amount of science. We'll play around with those a little bit. We do want to expand that technology. We do want to get that technology expanded and practice with it a little bit in preparation for our spaceplane to Laythe, of course. Plus now we got these fins, these winglets, which will help us, do some things and with our rockets too. Okay, actually, before I get too much of that stuff, I do want to get these large landing legs. That would help very much for those heavier rockets, like that one with that struggle to land that we had. Ooh, yeah, I'll get these solar panels. They're good to have around. And more batteries. Ooh, here we go. The accelerometer. Another science. Oh, and I'm short. Just a handful of science. Well, okay. Darn. That's pretty annoying. Well, I think, how many of these plane parts do I have? Yeah, I think I need some actual wings. So I think I'll get this and do that space plane stuff I was talking about. Maybe that'll help us get a little bit of science too. We might try to make a little space station as a refueling station or something like that. Darn, that's annoying. That would have been nice to have one more science instrument. Well, okay, if we're making planes. Ooh, we got the probe body there we can attach stuff to both sides too. That's also useful. And at that point, I think we're spent. Oh, I don't have the inline intake, huh? Oh, I have the radial intakes. Okay, so I can, in fact, make a plane. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for watching and listening to my ramblings. So, from the Kerbal Space Program Science Center, this is Southern Wolverine, signing off.